Welcome everyone to the updates for October. So I'm going to go through all the updates that Google announced in October, and hopefully you'll find some of them useful. If you're here for the technical one, that's on a Thursday. That'll be tomorrow. My colleague James. You're very welcome to stay, of course. Everyone's very welcome. But if you were hoping for the technical things, it'll be much more end user focused today and technical tomorrow. And you are, of course, welcome to both. And as you're on the list, even if you still can't attend on some weeks, we will, of course, send you out the links and the slide decks afterwards for you to use how you so choose. That's kind of the whole point. Saves you doing it for yourselves. Okay. So if you are using client-side encrypted, I am in the process of wondering whether to ever include these client-side encryption messages, because I don't think I've met any of our customers yet who are using client-side encrypted in any of their documents. Remembering, of course, that all your documents are encrypted at rest and in transit anyway, so they've got quite a pretty high level of encryption already built in. If you're thinking what on earth it is, basically you've got to purchase an encryption tool additionally to the Google Workspace tools that you might buy. Install that in the admin panel, and then people can then choose to encrypt their documents, which gives them a higher level of protection. So if you're using it now, you've got the option to do it now in Sheets, and you see all the comments and actions that are with it, which you didn't see until very recently. But I'm finding that people generally don't worry about that particularly. This is an interesting one. I was in IAG the last couple of weeks, and we were talking about this because they do still use Meets because they're a split site organization. And I'm just, this is the option to add a watermark to any presentations that you do. So if it does end up going public, you've got your moniker on it so people know where it originally came from, just in case you're worried that someone else might claim it as their own. I think it's a good idea just to let people know, because then if they think, well, that's interesting, but it came from that source, they can then get in touch with you, can't they, and actually communicate with you directly, which would be quite a nice thing if you do that kind of thing still. So if you're doing any kind of public meets or meets where there are lots of invited guests from other organizations, and you want to keep hold of the copyright of it all, just use the watermark tool that is now afforded to you. This is a Gemini option now. So if you're on iOS devices, you've now got the option to get the Q&A things. Q&A sounds like it's a separate tool. It's just the pop-up and the suggested questions that you get in the other versions of Gemini in other places. It just gives you the option to access that tool a bit better on an iOS device, and actually you get the suggested questions as well as the option to insert your own question as well. Education, Gemini Education Premium only. This isn't on ours yet, and I'm surprised because this was an early announcement in the month. Has anyone seeing this now, that as you start to type things in the search bar in your Drive, you get smart chips appearing as an option to select? You can actually start to filter them in directly there, and you'll notice in the little GIF there that if it pops up, if you think, oh, you might be looking for documents, so that you select it, it appears as one of the filters below it once you've completed your search details. It's quite a nice little additional thing, and I'm assuming that when it arrives and it's highlighted, if you press the tab, it will just appear. That's quite a nice little additional tool. That all this design, I've forgotten the precise material design version 3 that Google have been working on for quite some time now, and making significant differences to all the things that you do in all the tools that you have. And it's just, I think they've been, most of it is actually, would say, is pretty successful. You know, the look and appearance is easier to navigate. Yeah, all the different tools that are now popping up to make your work in that particular app more efficient is also beginning to make an impact, I think. And so I'm really liking all the things that they've been doing of late to get these things to happen. This is very exciting. I think the last time there was a new question in a Google form was the file upload. I think since I first started using these years ago, I remember file upload arriving, but I think all date and time might have been later editions. I've just suddenly thought. No, I'm pretty sure they were there at the beginning. I can't remember. But anyway, there's a new one now, which is the satisfaction rating. And just because it's one of my soapbox moments, satisfaction ratings, I tend to go for even numbers so that people can't be ambivalent. If you give 5, and it's really common to use 5, you know, in TripAdvisor and Amazon and all those things. go to 4 or to 6, then you're much less likely to get people sitting down the middle of your questions. They've got to sit either side of the middle. So you need to get a vague sense that, so it just reduces the number of people think, I just can't be bothered, I'll go in the middle. And there might only be a tiny number, but it just reduces it. Yes.
Paul, what does it drop into the spreadsheet? Does it drop a number? So if I select 3 stars, would it drop number 3 in it?
And that's a really good question, Tony. I've not used one yet, so I don't know.
Okay. We'll try it and we'll let you know.
Yeah, no, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, very much. Yeah, that's a really good question, though. Yeah, how does it present in the final set of data? I'm presuming it will be a number, but I don't actually know. I've not tried it. And you've got 3, I think it's got 3 little icons. You don't have to be a star. It's a thumbs up rating. And it shows you in the GIF there, look. And a heart. So a star, thumbs up, or a heart. So you've got 3 options. But really great if you're doing exit tickets using Google Forms with your students, just to give you a sense of their feeling about it, rather than just, you know, a more focused evaluation. It's really quite a nice little tool for you as a teacher to know how well you're doing and things. This, I think, is great. One of the reasons we sometimes struggle to get people to move away from Microsoft into Google is because of OneNote. People love OneNote. One of the things they particularly cite as a reason they love it was the tabs that were in there. You can, in effect, have multiple documents within a single document, and they all behave as separate documents, but all the toolbars are the same, and you just flip from tab to tab. So to be able to do that now in Google Docs, I think is a great thing. Still, I've been meaning to check. I don't quite know what, if you start to use headings, I don't know where all the headings go now, because where that now sits on the left-hand side is where all the headings used to go. So you used to have that navigable tree, didn't you, of all your headings and subheadings. And I keep meaning to have a play to find out if I add headings in, where does that all go? Because I can't see where it will go yet. I haven't actually looked. But I like these tabs. I think they're a great thing. Yeah, I agree, Andy. So, you know, I'm thinking about things like, really good example, staff handbook. How massive is your staff handbook? Yeah. And if it references lots of other documents, then could they be separate tabs? You know, or specific procedures about specific things. Yeah. So you could organize it, and you can see them literally just dragging them around and moving around to organize them. You can also have sub tabs as well. So you can have tabs within sub tabs. So you can see just about in the animation there, this tiny little black collapsible arrows. So you can collapse and expand individual sections. So it just makes navigating through the whole thing that little bit more easy. And that's a great little thing. I think that's a long time coming. So that's good to know. Third-party chips is a growing thing. There are more and more available. I meant to print the whole list, but you can now see that Canva is there. You've got to have the add-on installed, and the update that I read suggested that admins must install the add-on. Sorry about the misspelling of install, but I'm pretty certain that if you've been allowed to add it on, then as long as you've got the add-on in the sheet, then you should be able to add the smart chip there yourself. I'm not absolutely certain about that. I meant to go back and double check that, but didn't quite. But either way, once you've got that particular tool as an add-on, then it displays as a number. Excellent, thanks for that, Dave. So that was a question about the satisfaction thing, the 5-star new question in forms. It appears as a number in the sheet. Okay. Well, these I really like. Yeah, I think that it's that whole thing, isn't it, about greater and greater integration into all the apps that you use. You know, it's almost, I can't ever think of a place where a single solution would be the solution to everything. So you're always going to be using additional apps, you know, because they are brilliant. You know, Canva is in this example. Canva is a phenomenal tool, absolutely brilliant tool. And so to be able to quickly access these things and get to them quicker and is a really good thing. So I'm delighted that those are there. And I suspect those will grow and grow. And the first tranche of these that came out were mostly business ones. I don't know if you remember. It was like Zoho and Xero and Salesforce were the first apps smart chips to appear, which generally schools aren't using in any great amount. You know, maybe your finance officer might be, but mostly not. So the fact that there's some other ones now on a broader range, Lucid have done their Lucid Sparks and Lucid charts are now in there, and Canva you can see in the example. So it's good that there's a wider range now appearing that are education focused rather than. Okay, I think I've just done that one twice. I just got overexcited. I do a span on that one twice. I must have done clicked the wrong keyboard or something, accidentally, the keyboard shortcut accidentally, and duplicated those 2 slides. So if you create a calendar event in Calendar. This doesn't work inside the Meet inside Google Classroom. Only works if you create the calendar invite directly inside your calendar. You can now set it to automatically transcribe it, automatically record, and if you have a Gemini license, to automatically take notes on your behalf. Yeah, which is really rather neat. We should really probably set it up to do it for this event, so it just automatically sets the recording going at the beginning. You've got to be certain that's what you want. I mentioned this in an update to Google educator groups in Ireland, and I'm telling you this now, not that I said this, but they said this. And they said, "Oh, Paul, we won't be using that function." I says, "Well, why not?" I says, "Well, we just like a bit of a chat first." He's so stereotypically, Irish. If I'd said it, that would be seen as offensive. But they unashamedly thought, "No, we like a quick chat before we start." So you just be certain that you do want it to start directly at the beginning. Otherwise, you've got some editing to do with the recording after the event. But really neat. It means that if you've got to record, then it's there and done all in one go when you create the event, which I really like. It's in the cog. Just go into the cog, and then you'll see the options are in there. This I also like. So if you record a voice note in Google Chat, once it goes into the chat, the people actually see it, and not only as an audio file, but also they see the transcript. So if they choose to read it, then they can. Yeah, I'm a great fan of multiple access routes to the same thing is a really good thing. Yeah, so if you don't particularly want to, if you were in a meet and you did have to read that note because there was notes coming in about the reason for the meeting, for example, you don't really want an audio file playing in the background, for example, but you could then read the text of what's delivered in there, which is really rather neat. I like that a lot. That's a great additional tool. And a thing like IEG, we've talked about this at IEG, because they're split site. If you for some reason logistically left the building, half an hour late for a meeting, you can quickly just send a quick voice message as you walk into the car, and they can see that information either as audio or as text at the other end. So, and the fact that that's there is really good. So that's a nice little thing. There was also some excitement about this because of actually at IEG a few weeks ago, at the Stanford site, there's a teacher whose first language is Korean. So she was very excited to get hold of a Gemini license. So Tony, you may have a request for her to have a go at that. And she wanted to try it in Korean and see how good it was. So if you've got people where English isn't their first language and they do happen to have a Gemini license, there should be the Gemini icons on this. And you've got additional licenses to different languages rather to try it out. And that localization is only going to continue more and more. Don't forget, we'll get better and better. So that's good. So this is just a quick update. The comments have always been there on Android devices, but the way that it presents itself now is much more similar to the web-based version of it. So you get this nice panel, and you've got the For You bits and the comments bits. So you've got all the additional tools to sort it and filter it to be able to see the things that you want to see a little bit easier, which is really quite nice. So that's on Android devices. This is also an interesting one. I've been playing with this since I read this announcement earlier in the week. And it allows you to do a whole load of things. I've successfully managed to create a calendar event using these extensions. So that, again, this is Gemini Education, Gemini Education Premium. And if you've got those, and these have been enabled by your admin people, then you can actually, so I basically created a calendar event. I asked for a calendar event. I gave it the date, the time, the type of the event, and I also told them to invite my colleague, Chris. And it did 75% of that work for me. The one thing it couldn't quite do, and it could just be the way I'm phrasing the prompt, so I'll keep trying in case it's just me. It wouldn't add Chris as an additional guest into that. So that was a frustration from that. I couldn't get it to do that. But if it did create it, and it would also delete it. And so I quite like that. And referencing Google Drive documents works really well. I really like that one as well. I haven't had a chance to play with the others yet. And I did have a quick go with the Keep one, but I couldn't. I didn't know whether I couldn't remember how to phrase it to identify the particular Keep I wanted to look at. But it didn't quite manage to do those things. And I didn't ask it to create a note. I was asking it to find content from one of the notes and to do some other training. I use my Keep notes to give me an outline of all the training sessions I do. So I use them a lot. So this is really nice, I think. And you literally just use the @ symbol in the Gemini, I've got Google.prompt, and these 6 options will now just appear, and you select which one you want and then write your instruction. It's really neat and easy to use. So it's one to be looking at for those of you who've got Gemini licenses. So Gemini is now in chat. That's the first thing to say in this, which is really quite nice. And one of the things it will give you is give the option to summarize. You can see in the little animation that you hover over something you haven't seen yet, and you get the option to summarize it really straight away. And realizing you're having a license, but they are now there and available for you, which is really quite nice. This is all part of that Google Material Design Level 3. I've been talking about this probably for 2 years or more when they started to make all these changes, and all the doc sheets and slides, their interfaces have all been redesigned, and mail and calendar and things. So you get neater and neater, cleaner interfaces. And so this is part of that. It was still working to the old video player. That's now being updated to the new version. You can see on the image that the images in the slider, and they're all like a little bit neater and cleaner on the screen, so you see much more. I think this is also part of the process of getting it prepared for it to look much slicker when Google Vids launched. Has anyone actually got access to Google Vids yet? You have? Okay, I might ask you what you think about it at the end, David. That's okay. I've registered for it, but I haven't heard anything. I don't know whether it's because I'm commercial and they're not giving it to commercial. For some reason, I don't know quite why, but we'll have to wait and see. But I've also put the link in there to the Google Material Design 3, so you know what the principles are that they're working to. Because I think sometimes it gets better and you almost don't notice it. There's some quite subtle changes. It's been a whole load of things like reorganizing the way the menus sit, so things are stacked under sub-menus, so it's neater and easier to find things and quicker to find things and all those kinds of stuff. And the at symbol itself in docs and sheets and slides, not in slides, docs and sheets, that allows you to get to functionality a bit quicker, is all part of that Google Material Design 3 process as well. It's getting everything a little bit quicker and easier. On the same thing, this is Google Material Design version 3, just a neater, cleaner view of Google Calendar. And mine had already arrived when I read this update, and I noticed, I'm just so used to the nice, neat, clean interface that I hadn't even noticed that it changed. I had to go back and think, has it? Oh, it has. So it's so mine's already there now. So it's really nice. Just makes everything look neater and cleaner, I think, and it just makes it easier to see what's on the screen, which is good. So if you've got a Gemini license, you've had the help me write and refine my draft for some time. They've added a 3rd prompt to help you, which is to polish. So you write your response. I think you've got to have 12 or more documents, 12 or more words in the email response you've written. Then the polish option will come up. If you read the update by following the link, I think it's a mistake. It actually says Control H is the shortcut to make it polish it for you, but it's Alt H. I'll put that on the screen for you, just so you're aware. I actually made a mistake on the updates page. They might have. I did tell them they might have corrected it by now, but it's Alt H to get it to polish. And it just gives you a neater, cleaner version of it. You don't have to accept it. One slightly annoying thing is that it will put the polished version directly below the version you've already written. So you've then got to go and remove the version you've written. So it'd be nice if it replaced it directly rather than putting the two side by side. Because if you're in a rush and don't really pay attention, you could find yourself sending a polished version and a less polished version of exactly the same thing to a customer without realizing, or to a colleague. So just to be aware that you get a duplicate of it, your version and their version. So don't go to that send button too quickly when you actually go for it. Okay. And I'm so used to that everyone else's comments are on the left and my comments are on the right model of chat. I don't quite know what I feel about this. They're giving you the option to change the density. It's compact and comfortable are the two phrases. The image on the screen here, the one on the left is the comfortable one, and the one on the right is the compact one. And the titles tell you what they're about. The compact one should give you more text on the screen, make it easier to scroll. And there aren't huge amounts of differences, I don't think. I think the text is ever so slightly more compact, but I like it could just be an age thing. I'm an old man now. I need nice big lettering. It could just be that. But I like the left-right alignment because it makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on and what's been happening where. So I'm not sure I will necessarily go to the compact version, but if you feel the need to that. And the other thing that they say that will do is also reduce the amount of scrolling, because you should get more text onto the screen. So just to be aware that that's there and ready for you should you want it. It's not on ours yet. I did look for it yesterday, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know where it will present. I'm guessing it'll present in the cog, in the settings cog in the top right hand corner. But there might be a pop-up when it first arrives to give the option to choose. I don't actually know how it's going to present itself at the beginning. I mentioned this last week and it caused quite a storm, but I thought I'd just remind people of it again, because it was stuck on the top of Google Classroom, which seemed entirely inappropriate. But actually, having said that, I haven't been back to it to do any more of the course since I last mentioned it. But the little bit I'd done already, only done about the first sort of 10, 20 minutes of it, I think. And it seemed to be quite nice. I quite like the fact that it's making you think more deeply about how the whole thing works. And I always align these kind of things to understanding a car, don't you? I don't need to be able to rebuild my engine, but having some understanding of how it works makes me a better driver. Yeah. So I think the same is true of AI. So having some understanding of how all the different ways that a large language model might process that language in order to give you a response, and what the different ways that AI can work are, I think is a good thing for people to know about. So if you do find yourself with some free time, in education, does that ever happen? Do please go and have a look at that and let me know what you think once you've got to it. Okay. The next update, that was much quicker than I thought. That was quite a lot, actually. Next update is Wednesday, the 4th of December. So bring your Christmas jumpers if you have one, or your black and white if you're doing a bar humbug on me. Any questions? Dave, I was going to ask you about something. What was I going to ask you about?
Videos, I think, wasn't it, Paul?
Oh, Google Vids.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got multiple screens and I couldn't find my cursor. Yeah, so Vids, it's all right. I kind of swung from thinking, oh, this is really good, to thinking, yeah, it still takes ages to put something together. I love the AI kind of generation of your video to start with. You can put a prompt in there and it will create a framework for your video. But it's still a little bit, it's a word, kind of finicky to trying to get everything set up as you want. Creating videos always takes you a lot longer than you think it's going to do. If you want any polish on it, and that's still the case. But as a starting point, it's good. It lacks a few features from some of the the more obvious video editing tools, and it's not compatible with all video file formats if you want to bring your own video into it to kind of be part of.
All right. So can you import your own videos? Then? Is that an option?
You can do, yeah, but only certain file types. So, yeah, it was all right. It's been missing for a while. We used to use WeVideo, as because it works on Chromebooks. It's not quite as fully featured as that yet, but I can only imagine it getting better. But yeah, I was able to put a reasonably decent video together. The AI element of it, when you've got Gemini, is very good as a starting point, but then you need to personalize it and make it better.
Yeah. Anyone else had experience with Google Vids? Dave. Okay. So is it still in beta? Can people still apply to get access to it?
I don't even know that it's beta. I think it's just there. I think you've got to have a Gemini license. Well, certainly for some of the features you have. I can't remember whether it's only available to Plus, maybe. I would turn to somebody knowledgeable like you, Paul, to answer that question.
Andy, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, is that Vids you're talking about there, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you got to turn it on in whatever it's called, the early releases or whatever, isn't it? I've not seen that yet. I had to go with it. I've seen some of the promotions of it, but not had a use. Is what you're saying is that's linked to a Gemini license? Is it to be able to use that?
To use the kind of the AI empowered creation at the beginning of it, yeah.
But otherwise, at vids.google.com accessible now, is it generally?
That's how I get to it, yeah.
I might have a quick look at that. Thanks.
Yeah, I've only used it for a couple of things. I'm happy to demonstrate what it looks like if people are interested. But
I think that would be good if you're happy to do that. That'd be great.
yeah,
Let me stop sharing my slides.
okay.
Over to Cecil Beda Leonard.
Yeah, maybe not. Hey. Right. Okay. So this was a video. So there was one of our computing teachers wanted to set up a kind of a trust-wide computing hub, which he feels that he has to go through me for everything for, despite the fact that I don't teach computing. I've never taught computing. But hey, bless him, he's a lovely guy and wanted some support. So he asked me to be present at this meeting, but it clashed with something else. So I just created this video. So I just put in to the prompt something along the lines of kind of a launch of new trust-wide computing hub, and it came up with various prompts, and I just kind of filled in the gaps a little bit. So you can have, you'll notice towards, you've got your kind of your scrub, your play head here, which you can run through. You can have your picture in picture. You can record yourself speaking in video format. And the difference here is it will import these. So this was an AI generated video that it input for me. And at the bottom, I then did a voiceover for this slide, if you like. So yeah, I just ran through background music all there through Shutterstock. So it's royalty free. Yeah, just went through various scenes, various elements, and knocked it together. It worked okay. Like I say, it lacks a little bit of the more advanced editing tools. It's still rather basic in terms of how you edit it, but it's all right. It's, like I say, it's a good starting point. If you go to oh yeah, and I was doing that on a machine where my microphone was dying, so the sound quality was shocking. If you go to create a new video, you just go to the plus in the bottom right hand corner, which seems to move around with every different tool that Google develop. And then when you do that, this is where Gemini comes in. So you kind of give it an initial prompt, at least you do, and my computer's running a bit faster. So create a video promoting Techie Thursday. No, I can't even type, can I? Thursday.
It's not just me, Chris. It's the rule. If someone's watching you, your fingers just seem to go to pot.
I can't talk and type at the same time. Right, so I've just put in there, create a video promoting Techie Thursday, a way of sharing information with IT professionals. And it will just do the normal Gemini things. So it's come up with the outline. So introduction, what is Techie Thursday, why IT professionals should tune in, blah, blah, blah. So you can see it's all these different kind of elements of the video. And if I want to just accept that, I can click on next. It will allow you to select from a, what's called like a theme. So I just select a random one and then click on create the draft video. It goes away, creates a video in the background, and then you just have to personalize it and add your own elements. Now, I can't tell you how long this is going to take because it's been a while since I created that last one, but there we go, not too long. So we've got Techie Thursday, and if I just hit play now, it's given me a minute of gubbins. It's got background music on there already. I'm not a good lip reader, so I don't know what she was saying. But on the right as well, it's got scripts, so you'll notice towards the bottom left, you can either record yourself or you can generate the voiceover. So if I click generate voiceover, that will then add the audio of that script being read.
Right.
So as a starting point, really good. But then when you come to try and edit it and personalize it, I found it a little bit underpowered. It's is what I'd say is my headline.
Thanks, Dave. That looks really good. I just think I need to look at our experimental features in the admin. I thought I got it enabled, but when I do feedstock google.com, it just comes up with a sort of advert page. But yeah, I'll have a look at that. It looks pretty effective. Rather than, like all of those things, getting started is the hardest thing. You know, back in the day when you used to sit there with a blank slide.
Page syndrome. Yeah.
What shall I put on page one? You know, I think having that tool to be able to dump something in there to give you something to work on is just a brilliant starter. You know, it's many a time have I and other people have been sitting there and you're scouring the internet to look something to give you that bit of inspiration to get going. Whereas as you've demonstrated there in, you know, what is a few seconds or minutes, you can get something working. And at the end of the day, it's about delivering this as a discussion point when you're delivering it, and to get the engagement all the other people with you. You know, it's just a tool to get there, isn't it? You know, the journey and where you're going is the important thing, really, and how you engage with the people you're giving that presentation to. So, looking good. I like it.
In my last I'm saying to myself here is to see whether the detail in the prompt reduces the amount of editing you need to do afterwards.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I was just
That's
trying
the
to
thing,
throw
isn't it?
something in there as an example. My prompt craft is normally significantly better than that, but my typing whilst talking isn't. So I just made it quick.
No, it wasn't a criticism of that. It's just made me ponder that it's always back to that thing, isn't it? You know, people it really makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
The detail you put in there, yeah.
A bit like Dave,
It's interesting,
isn't it? We've not got your trusty windowsill today.
No, I'm working from home today, so
yeah. Looks like you've got a nice dining table there. And...
yeah, the false background.
No, it's good, isn't it? Yeah. I've got my.
Any other questions about anything either we've covered today, or any other more general questions about anything?
Yeah, can I ask? I'll turn my camera on. Can I ask about practice sets? So I remember when practice sets were launched, and I saw them for the first time at the BET exhibition a couple of years ago. I was very excited by them, and I came back to school, and they just seemed like glorified Google Forms. Have they developed since then? Are teachers using them? Any comments?
Anyone who will first? Gaz, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we use practice sets quite a lot.
Okay.
They are a glorified form. Absolutely, 100%. You're absolutely right. However, what it does is it allows you to put extra support for students as they go through the form.
Yes.
And then the other good thing about it is the insights, the report that you get at the end of the practice set.
Yeah.
That's absolutely invaluable, because I did one about some Google level 1 training, and I gave them some questions and some support, and almost every one of them on the insights got the last question wrong. And I thought, I made a mistake there. I've not taught that properly. I need to go back and address that. And it also told me which students were struggling as well, which I found really invaluable. So it's not good for everything, but it is good for some things, and we're starting to use it more and more. I'm getting teachers to use it, same as the video questions as well, getting them to use that as well.
Yeah.
The insight gives you at the end of your lesson is the important piece, I think.
Okay.
There's
If the
nobody else.
students are on devices where they can actually, it's a touch device where they can actually do working out in the working out panel to see where they made their errors. So any subject where they might have to do some working out, whether it's a design class or an art class or a maths class or a science class, where they need a bit of paper to work stuff out to get to the answer. If they do it on the screen, then the teacher gets to see their working out. So I think that insight is also really useful. So it's all well, because they all struggle with that question. But if it meant that they had to do some working out to get to it, it might be a really simple concept that you'd only just taught and wasn't quite fully embedded. Right, I get it now. It's about and whatever it's about in that particular subject, and then that again informs the teacher about what next steps needs to be, which I think is really useful.
Okay.
It's
okay.
also got some recent updates in as much as you can import questions from Google Forms
Right.
directly into it, which is kind of neat. You've still got to add the skills, and you've still got to add the and resources if they're not the right resources. Your teachers can also now add their own resources, and it's been this way for a while, but I'm just saying this because I didn't know when you last visited it, Jeremy. So I'm just kind of summarising updates from the last year or so. So that you can now
half ago last time. So,
yeah, so you can now look at your own. If you don't like the resources they suggested, you can add 3 of your own.
Okay.
If you've got a favourite YouTuber that does brilliant, like Ken Marg, is it Mark Chem guy? Done literally hundreds and hundreds of A-level chemistry videos that covers every possible experiment you might ever have to do in A-level chemistry. So he gets probably millions of hits because they're such good videos.
Yeah.
So if you prefer to use him, you just go and find the video you want, stick the link in, and they get that instead. And you can also, if you put a link into a slide deck, and the link, it doesn't look like it is when you add your note, but it's a live link. So when the kids click on it, it takes them to that document.
Yeah.
So you can point them to documents they want to see, which is really quite nice.
Okay.
I think there's some quite nice things.
Just worth going back to.
Yeah. But also the interactive questions in YouTube, which isn't practice sets, but it's a similar tool. They announced last month, I think, that for science type videos, the AI, not reliant on Gemini, but AI is built into it without a Gemini license that will suggest where the questions should go and what the questions should be. So hopefully that'll spread across all subjects eventually. I've not seen it in action yet, but that's also improving, which is good.
Excellent.
I do find that the skills suggestion in practice sets is not very good. So I always add my own videos to it. So you need to look at that. But apart from that, it's pretty good. There was a question I did ask a little while ago of this group, I think, about how well does a practice set work on a mobile phone? Because I'm sure when it first came out and I tried it, it just wouldn't run on a phone at all. And we've got a lot of students using phones. They don't have a Chromebook. But I believe that's been fixed. I think it does work on a phone now as well. And then obviously you've got a touch device in your hand as well, haven't you? So you can show you working out, Paul, as you were suggesting. So I think it's definitely worth another look.
Yeah, I'll do that. I was very evangelical about it to start with. It wasn't quite.
And also, please, sorry, Jeremy, just keep cutting across you. And feedback. Tell Google. They tell us that they read all the feedback that they get. If you're the only person asking for Google to make you a cup of tea in the morning before you get out of bed, then it's not likely to happen. But if enough people ask for it, then they'll get some developers on it and see what they can do. That's the bottom line. So we've got to tell them. Don't just tell them when it's broken, because they probably know when it's broken.
Yeah.
Tell them about features you think we need as educators.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I think my experience of practice sets is that it's definitely been updated. Whether it's been upgraded is a different matter. It's less US centric than it was when it launched, in line with a lot of things with Google. They launch local, they launch it as maybe an unfinished product, and then they pad it out. So I think when it first launched, a lot of the feedback that I got from teachers was that all the pre-made resources were very much aligned to the US curriculum. I'd say completely understandable, but then I do think it's improved since then. So there's more to go at. But when it first launched, I would have been very much the same as Tony in saying that use it with your own materials, use it as a framework for your own lessons and your own materials, rather than picking something off the shelf that's already there for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
So one last thing, it's also worth, if you're going to import a form into a practice set, if it's a multi-section form, it will still import them. It sticks all the section headings as text boxes at the bottom of the Google practice set. So you just need to go in and remove them all. It can't quite cope with sections yet.
Okay.
Just need a little bit of tidying up, because often we do go for quite complex forms, don't we? With multiple sections, so it just needs a bit of tidying up. Any other questions? That's a great question. Thank you very much, Jeremy. That's really good. Let's go for it, guys.
Looker. We've got a few staff that are starting to see Looker and want to get into it. Is there any training available for it? Anything that C-Learning can do, or is there anything out there that already exists? Or how have people learned Looker? Would be my question.
I don't know if I mean, I presume there's support pages, but they're pretty dry, aren't they? Not really very helpful. I've not seen any courses from Google. And I can show you the basics. It's not a tool I know enormously well, but I could certainly. And if IAG are interested, then I can just, you know, you're a big customer, so I won't get any grief if I offer you that as a freebie. Yeah, ordinarily they need to charge, of course, but in this situation, because you're a big customer, happy to do that for you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah,
But I suspect that I could show you stuff that you could probably work out within the hour because you're a very competent IT user. But I'm more than happy to jump on a meet and show you and your colleagues what I know.
That's all.
I taught myself, so I used it as part of my innovator project, and it was back in the days when it was called Data Studio. There is a very helpful kind of templates when you first go into Looker, which kind of guides you through a lot of the processes. So you can do the basics, just teaching yourself with, I mean, I am not a coder at all. You do, if you want to do some of the more advanced stuff, need to understand some elements of coding, like regex was always a big thing, but it is getting a little bit more user friendly as well. I only learned this last night actually on the VIA Innovator meeting. If you go into Sheets and go into extensions, there is now a way of putting your data from Sheets straight into Looker, whereas previously you'd have to load up Looker, point it to the right sheet, point it to the right page, point it to the right fields. So that's a really quick way of getting started now. So yeah, that was brand new to me last night. I don't know how long it's been a thing. I think it's been quietly announced, unless Paul's saying that he's done this at a previous meeting of this that I've not attended.
It's on the paid licenses.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's everything nowadays. Everything they release is only on paid licenses.
I know.
What you need is somebody to say some licenses.
Just on that as well, I was just going to say that if you want slightly more technical help, Gaz, then Francisco could probably join you on that call as well from our side. I know he's done things, analytics dashboards and whatnot for other pieces of software that we support. So it could be that maybe he joins you as well if Paul's given up a bit of his time there. I'm sure he'd be able to do that.
Yeah, we're quite keen on doing this because we've been asked by one of our IT boys. Now, I want to show them how fantastic Looker is because I want to wean them away a bit from Microsoft, which is never going to happen, of course. But if I can show them that Looker is a great addition, that would help an awful lot, you know. So I'm quite keen on doing something. I don't know what his skills are. I imagine they'd be pretty high, so I need to have a chat with him and find out what he wants.
Well, he came in today as one of our middle managers in IT, if you like, and he was looking at trying to find an API to link from the admin console to Looker. So he wants to start using it to look at around Chromebook provisioning, where Chromebooks are from the admin console, to create a database in Looker, so he's got an easier reference of where things are. That was his sort of use case. And then for Adam and Tony, I think it's more dashboards. For me, it's just a bit of learning because I'm not a data nerd. But
yeah, interesting.
I've just dropped a link into the chat. Chris Smith is your man for delivering training for education users of Looker. You have to pay, but he knows it inside out. He's very, very good. It's Chris.
Thanks, Dave.
So that's in the chat. Should you need it? And there we go. Melissa's done that. Excellent.
Thanks. Brilliant.
Was it Chris Smith you used, Melissa? You said you'd use someone.
Yeah, Melissa just dropped a note into the chat to say that's the one she did.
Yeah, he just loads.
Yeah, I didn't want to name a competitor in your thing without, did seem a little bit rude.
No, we've got broad shoulders, Melissa. We can cope. Yeah, very good. Excellent. Any other questions? It's been good. I like it when we have a chat. Especially the living to me drone on.
I've got a point about the voice note transcriptions in chat. I'd love to be able to turn that on by default because some of our learners have been using voice notes as effective ways to bully each other. because they're not subject to monitoring tools. Because if you've got monitoring tools that check all the text on your screen, then they don't check waveforms, do they? So I would love to have the function to be able to turn on those transcriptions by default to try and get it. In fairness, it's not loads of them that do it, but there have been occasions when this has happened and there's some really nasty stuff. I think it's people, we talk about keyboard warriors. I think there's some real venom in what is said sometimes in voice notes.
What little darlings, Dave, aren't they?
Of course they are, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's definitely one to feedback, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the road we go on the safeguard in front, isn't it? About being having that ability to highlight that to DSLs, and if that's going under the radar, the kids will know, because there'll be kids who will try that out just to see whether they get a tap on the shoulder from the DSL, and the kids will see that that's not the case with that, I guess, and hence use it more.
To be